Hello everyone. I welcome you on behalf of Team Current Affairs Review to watch this video. This is the first video of a 3-video series on India-Pakistan relationship. Now, here in this video, we are going to discuss the background of the genesis of India-Pakistan relationship as we look at it today. See, the relationship is pretty interesting. Whatever it might be, it can't be a single day's work, right? So how come this relationship became like this? We're going to look at that background only. The background, it starts only in the days of partition and independence. If you remember, the way Muslim League, it was formed in 1907 by Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka and his other compatriots, his other colleagues. The primary concern was forwarding the interest of one specific section of the society. Congress was always against this idea because Congress as a platform was forwarding the interest of every section possible in the country. But naturally you can understand that this idea was rather welcomed by our colonial masters, since they saw the roots of colonial divide in this, communal divide in this rather. So naturally they welcomed this idea, and after that, because Muslim League, they tried at least to forward the interest of one section. Though I have to admit here that majority of the Muslims in India at that point of time, they never accepted Muslim League as their interest holder. But still, since they perceived that role themselves, so a kind of conflict of interest between Congress and Muslim League started cropping up from the very beginning. Time and again, through 1916 Lucknow Pact and others, we have seen that efforts have been made to patch that up, but that hardly ever worked. Then came up one of the primary leaders of Muslim League, Mr. M.A. Jinnah. Jinnah, he always had the idea to hate a country in his mind. It is from this idea that he came out with the concept of two-nation theory in 1937, because he realized that majority of the population in India, they are never going to accept Jinnah as the head of state ever. So he came out with that idea of two-nation theory, that if he can't be the head of state of the whole of India, then at least Pakistan for him. And then in 1940, they forwarded the demand for Pakistan over this two-nation theory. The role of Mr. Gandhi is Mr. M.K. Gandhi, or the father of the nation, Gandhiji as we refer him. His role in this respect has been really interesting. He, in his effort, he was very clear in his mind that he is not going to accept the partition of the country. Even he came out with this statement that if partition takes place, that would take place over his body. In a desperate effort to stop the partition of the country, he also went to the extent of offering Jinnah to be the head of the country. However, in front of unrelenting Mr. Jinnah and the other leaders of Congress, who very rightly put forward the idea that if Mr. Jinnah becomes the head of the state, majority of the population of India, they may not accept it. So in front of the unrelenting stand of these two parties, finally Gandhiji had to concede. Anyway, Jinnah, or Mr. M.A. Jinnah, he went to an extent where just to strengthen his ploy of two-nation theory, he also went to the extent of suggesting two names for the two newly independent countries, that is Pakistan for Muslims and Hindustan for the Hindus. However, thankfully, in face of the strengthened and unrelenting effort of the leaders of Congress, this move was thwarted. The idea that was forwarded by Congress leaders, especially Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in this respect, was that one section was separating from a very big country. The name of the big country is India. The section that is separating is Pakistan. So there's no reason to rename India as Hindustan, because India is not only for Hindus. Now, it is in this background that we see the rise of enmity between these two countries. Let's look at the issues of enmity between these two countries. The first issue that came up was the issue of India declaring itself a secular country. India, from the very beginning, the leaders in India, they went forward with the idea that this country belongs to everyone. Whether they be Hindu, they be Muslims, they be Sikhs, they be Christians, they be Parsis, doesn't matter. The country belongs to everyone. Naturally, you can understand that this idea of a secular nation itself proved that there was no reason to have a separate country called Pakistan. Or at least, the idea of two-nation theory on which Pakistan was formed was a myth. Naturally, the leaders in Pakistan, they could never accept success of India as a secular nation and the plural democracy that India enjoyed, because it naturally proves the falsehood behind the myth of the two-nation theory. And it proves that Pakistan was actually formed because of the selfish interest of a section of its leadership. Anyway, if this was the first reason, then came the second reason, that is accession of the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir was headed by Maharaja Hari Singh Ji at that point of time, the Dogra Maharaja Hari Singh Ji. Maharaja Hari Singh Ji, he had his idea of being independent, becoming independent. However, just like in other princely states, Congress in the state of Jammu and Kashmir was also very weak. Congress's organization was extremely weak. But this vacuum because of the weakness of Congress was fulfilled by another party, that's National Conference and its charismatic leader Sheikh Abdullah. National Conference was going forward with its nationalistic agenda, with accession of India, then declaring a people's government, removing the head of the state, the hereditary Maharaja, and all these things. So naturally, you can easily understand that the Maharaja was not having a very good idea about Congress and National Conference. And in fact, he had also arrested Sheikh Abdullah and had put him behind bars. However, the Maharaja came out with an ingenious plan of an agreement called Standstill Agreement. Now, this is a legal agreement. What's the purpose of it? Three purposes. Number one, if you sign the Standstill Agreement with Maharaja Hari Singh Ji of Jammu and Kashmir, that means you accept that Kashmir or Maharaja Hari Singh Ji has the full right to decide whether to accede with India or Pakistan or to be independent. That means by default you accept the second point, that is by default you accept the right of Kashmir becoming independent as well. Simultaneously, you also accept the third point, that is the right of Maharaja being supreme in respect to the future of Jammu and Kashmir, and simultaneously you also accept that till the Maharaja decides, you are not going to interfere in the internal affairs of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, Pakistan signed this treaty of accession, this standstill agreement. However, the leaders in India, they refused to do so. Quite rightly so, you can understand why. However, when one princely state after another, like Junagadh, like the Nawab of Bhopal, Hamidullah Khan, they all started acceding with India. Well, the Nawab of Junagadh, he actually fled to Pakistan, but the state, it didn't accede to Pakistan. The people of the state, they finally voted in referendum and joined with India. Now, from these developments, Pakistan realized that they are losing. It is in this background that Pakistan, they started sending invaders, tribal people from Northwest Frontier Province, Pashtun tribes, Afridis, Momans. They trained them, they gave them weaponry and sent them as invaders to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, from where am I saying this? The weapons which were recovered from the invaders were the official issues of Pakistani Rangers. So, the official issued weapon of Pakistan Rangers cannot come to the invaders without Pakistan giving them willingly. Anyway, so the invaders were sent, and we know subsequently on 26th of October 1947, the Maharaja, he signed the Treaty of Accession. Though, once again, I'm stating it here, we'll be clarifying it somewhere else as well. will be taking up the issue of Jammu and Kashmir separately as well, like that of Bangladesh. Anyway, we must repeat here, we must assert ourselves here that the Treaty of Accession is available online in the website of Ministry of Home Affairs, and you can go through it and see that it was a complete unconditional accession. There was no condition attached to it. So on 26th of October, the Maharaja acceded to, or rather his Prime Minister signed on the Treaty of Accession, and the state acceded to India. And on 27th of October, India moved its armed forces to protect the state. Result, both the countries rather, they took the issue to UN, and we know what happened. Even till this day, this issue is one of the sentimental issues in both the countries. Then comes the issue of water sharing. In water sharing, the first thing that came up was the Indus Water Treaty of 1960. See, there are 6 major rivers in the region: Indus and its 5 tributaries, Chenab, Jhelum, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. Now, Indus and Satluj, they originate in Tibet, and as antecedent river, they cross Himalaya and enter India. But the rest of the rivers, they originate in India and pass through or crosses the border and moves to Pakistan. So India is the upper riparian state and Pakistan is the lower riparian state. Naturally, there was a concern in Pakistan that India is stopping the flow of water from these rivers. Naturally, Pakistan came out with, Pakistan started objecting it. Finally, under World Bank's mediation in 1960, the Indus Water Treaty was signed. Still, number of projects are there with which there are problems. Say, for example, Kishanganga project. It's on Kishanganga or Neelam River, which is a tributary of Jhelum. 330 megawatt power plant is being, hydroelectric power plant is being built there. Now, the point of India is that in Indus Water Treaty, the right to consume the water of Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, they were given to Pakistan, and the right to consume the water of Ravi, Beas and Satluj was given to India. India here is not consuming even an ounce of water of Jhelum or its tributary, Neelam or Kishanganga. Rather, in an unconsumptive manner, we are using the water. We are using the water to develop, to generate electricity, to develop the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Finally, we know that this argument of India was accepted by World Bank and the project has been cleared. Similar thing happened with Baglihar project on Chenab River. It's a 450 megawatt hydroelectric plant which is being set up there. The work was going on since 1992 and all the things that happened in between. Then comes the Nimu Basgo project. This is on Indus itself, Indus River itself. The project started in 2001 near Alchi village in Leh, near Leh, Ladakh Valley. The total amount of electricity to be generated is 240 gigawatt of electricity per annum. That's the plan. However, Nimu Basgo project is presently stuck in a chaotic condition, although headways are being made. After the water sharing comes the issue of partition of Bangladesh. Now, I'm not detailing the issue of independence of Bangladesh here because that we are going to do in a separate issue on India-Bangladesh relationship and going to discuss India's role in Bangladesh's freedom. Then comes the issue of Sir Creek. This is a mere 96 kilometer stretched water body, or it's not even a water body, it's a marshy land between the state of Sindh and the state of Gujarat. It was actually a settled issue, an agreement between the state of Sindh and the state of Bombay Presidency was signed in 1927 to divide the water body between the two states of British India. So there was hardly any reason, but all of a sudden in 1965, Pakistan raked this issue up. And finally comes the biggest issue which till date causes the enmity between India and Pakistan. That's the hangover in Pakistani armed forces and the inferiority complex that they suffer from because of losing 4 times to India. Whether in October 1947 or in 1965 or in 1971 or in 1999. That's the background. The rest of the issue will be following soon. Thank you.